Hi guys. Okay, so here we are with another video. This was made for DS9. This is an Alien Hypo. I don't remember for what episode, but then again, as you know, if you've been watching this, I still haven't seen all the episodes. And it wasn't really important for me to know the episodes, just what I need to do for the props for the episodes. And in some cases, the details of how they're using it. So anyway, so this hypo was originally made by Max Cervantes. The construction of this hypo is turned acrylic pieces for the shaft here and the injector head. The rest of all these other pieces, except of course this piece right here, this is a piece of acrylic as well that's been turned with a little chamfered edge on it. All of this detail here is all done out of sheet stock, except for that piece right there. That piece right there is a piece of wren shape. Or, yeah, that's wren shape. A lot of the stuff we used to make on Trek would be made out of acrylic, styrene, vacuum formed plastic, cast resin, but generally speaking, we would make the master with all those materials, and then we would end up casting any of the copies that were going to go to the show, because we kind of needed to be able to make more than one and not have it not take, you know, days and days and days. So the construction of this was very fast. We actually even had to make all the hypo vials that went into this. And so, as with most of the medical tools that had vials, like other hypos and so on, we basically had to make all of our own vials. We weren't allowed to use something with a screw top on it, because that wasn't, you know, 25th century or whatever century we were in on DS9. Once again, love Trek, but it's not everything I've done in my life. Unfortunately, I know you guys love it, and I actually do love Star Trek. I love working on it. But I worked on a lot of stuff, so I've got a little bit way too much information in my head about most of the stuff we've ever done. Now, as far as how this would have been made for production, is we would have taken a mold, a two-piece mold, and split it along this edge here, and more than likely up and over that edge to there. But we would have had a either nylon or aluminum or steel or brass insert that would have inserted into here when we were molding it. So when we were done molding it, we would be able to take that insert out of the mold, take the original out, put that piece of brass or metal insert back into the mold, and cast around it, so that we ended up with a piece that had all these this open area for the vial. So that would be stuck into the mold, cast around. After the resin had cured, we would then open the mold, take the casting out, and remove the insert. And then in many cases, we would take a piece of acrylic rod that's the size of the vial here, and actually slide it into the slot here, and it would usually stick out about that far, because all of this resin that we cast out of shrinks over time, and most of the shrinkage happens in the first 24 to 48 hours. So after we were done casting all of our parts and we were ready to start cleaning up and painting all these, we would then take the acrylic rod out and do all of our paint job on it. make up all of our vials, fill them with liquid. As you can, I don't know if you can see it here. There's a little tiny hole drilled in here, and we would fill it. We would, and most of those are usually way over here to the side if we had a choice to do it, because it made it easier to what we call burping. So we would actually drill the hole closer to the edge over here, so we could stick a little hypo needle in there, in through the hole, fill it up, and if we needed one that was full completely, we could get it pretty close to being completely full, and then we would cap that little hole with some cyano or epoxy or whatever, just to seal it up. And usually that was the end we would tell everybody to install in. Now, if it's over here closer to the edge, depending on what we put into that hole would disappear when you're looking at it from the side angle. You can kind of see that hole. That would kind of disappear when we would fill it with like epoxy or something. So that's kind of the whole story there. We didn't make too many of those for the show. As far as I know, I think actually we made a total of 3 of those. And this hasn't actually seen the light of day probably since about the week after we made it for DS9. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe and share this with your friends. Thank you.